the next in a short line of crowd favorites. Then there was the track's winningest rider, Ricky Johnson. No matter what your moniker, though, the Unadilla curse has proved indiscriminate. Welcome, everyone, to the 8th round of the AMA 250 Motocross Series as we scan the pits before our opening moto from Unadilla, New York.
I had my goatee for a long time, and it's been a long time since I've shaved that thing, so I figured I'd just try something new.
Just wanted to see what your upper lip looked like again.
Yeah, I forgot. It's been a while.
This guy's not watching Moto World. All right. We're going to break some news to you here. Kudrowski's coming back.
I guess, yeah, that's what I hear. It's just another guy on the track.
Playful but very competitive former teammates when with Kawasaki, Mike LaRocco and Mike Kudrowski. Kudrowski signing with Honda of Troy for next year as our riders getting ready now at the starting gate. Let's go down to Marty.
This first moto is going to be very interesting. We've got a matchup that we've been looking for, the number 1 and the number 2. Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Emig are going to line up side by side. Of course, starts are always pivotal, but also momentum is pivotal. And Emig is coming off a very big win last time out at Redbud at Buchanan, Michigan.
All kinds of special protection for this rocky road as you see the hand guards on the handlebars.
See Albertine pulling one of the tearaways off of his goggles. They usually build up the goggles with an extra tearaway. And then before the start, all that handling, you want to get that one off there and get clearer vision.
Despite 5 overall wins and 12 moto wins on the season, Jeremy McGrath with only a 40-point lead over Jeff Emig. Making things interesting still as Doug Henry gets all nervous and ready at the starting line.
Trying to get himself pumped up. It takes so much motivation to try to get off the line. You sit around in the pits quietly, then you got to go to work.
Revving up, ready for the gate to drop here at Unadilla. It's a fast start. And Jeff Emig is looking pretty good. Hughes, Lewis, Amaradio, Henry, Ward, all in that front pack. Jeremy McGrath with not a very good start. Carlo Cohen and Bradshaw LaRocco are in front even of Jeremy McGrath on this start.
Well, it's looking good right now for Team Kawasaki. Emig coming off that win at Buchanan, and Ryan Hughes coming off of back-to-back wins here in the 125 class.
Jeff Emig is our leader with Hughes number 5. That's Lewis shooting by us. And Jeremy McGrath just going through before the shot change.
Yeah, he's pretty far back. Got his work cut out. That's what helped Emig win that last race at Buchanan. He got the whole shot. Now he's got his teammate as a buffer for McGrath to have to come through if Ryan doesn't get him first.
This has been an interesting comparison all season long, even during the Supercross season. The youngster Ryan Hughes makes the move on the inside on Jeff Emig and takes over the lead here in the 250 Moto number 1.
Now, I talked with Ryan. He loves this racetrack. Got a little sideways there, but that's expected. They water the track. These guys don't know it. They got a parade lap, but now they're at full speed, and he did a nice job to hang on. Look, he's already got a little lead now.
You can't talk about this track and not talk about the rocks that act just like bullets or missiles when they're roosted back into the rider in back. And you see Emig taking a much different line behind Ryan Hughes in this rough section.
Not nearly as good. He's got to keep this one long continuous corner. Couldn't be aggressive. Ryan just ran it wide open all the way to the outside, jumped into that hole, and then cut it back to the inside. He was able to make 2 straightaways out of that corner instead of one long sweeper.
Ryan Hughes, our leader, one of the few riders in the field that doesn't wear a chest protector. That's the best place to be in that instance.
Well, that's why he was so anxious to get ahead of his teammate. Also, before they got to all those watered sections, he got ahead to avoid being sprayed by mud in the first lap.
Team Nolene's Kyle Lewis in 3rd place. His best finish, Glenn Helen, a 4th overall. He's signed to go to Japan next year. Good money for Kyle.
I think he'll do well over there. I don't think it is. In some cases, you see guys kind of near the end of their career go over to another country and dominate, and I don't think that's the case with Lewis. I think it's just a much more lucrative deal, and I expect he'll do well.
Number 15, Doug Henry, a new papa. He got a 3rd place overall finish at Southwick, but then got his tooth knocked out in that terrific first lap crash at Buchanan. So he's on the comeback here today, currently in 4th place behind Kyle Lewis.
When you talk about tough riders, you got to bring up Doug Henry. Remember the crash that just about ended his career? He's riding around out there with titanium in his body and on his motorcycle. Well, I'd like to make quick work of Kyle Lewis and run with the leaders. I think he's got the speed.
Oh, Greg Albertine down just before the gravity cavity.
Well, that's a better place to go down than dropping in. That could have been disastrous, but right now he's got Lawrence all over his tail.
Our field summary: Ryan Hughes, our leader. Jeff Emig in second. Kyle Lewis in third. We'll be back with more action in a moment. And welcome back to Unadilla Valley Sports Center. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Marty Reed, as we take a look at our first moto of the 250s. Ryan Hughes out in front of teammate Jeff Emig, number 1 and 2. As we look back in the pack now, 8 is Larocco, Amaradio number 30, and then Jeremy McGrath, who is in 8th place. He's got a lot of good riders in front of him, but he's got some time on his side as he makes his way into 7th, getting around Amaradio. Good clean pass.
He's still got Larocco to get around, and Larocco is the man here. He's coming off back-to-back wins, 94 and 95. And I don't think he's going to make it easy for Jeremy to get around today.
Plus, one of the significant facts is that every time someone other than Jeremy has won, it's been Larocco who's had a battle with Jeremy during the moto. Let's reach back into history with a Suzuki flashback.
Once a year, the 250 Grand Prix season would make its stop at Unadilla, New York. This was 1986, and a battle between Bob Hanna and Johnny O'Mara. Bob on the Suzuki, Johnny on the factory Honda. Went back and forth. Bob checks out Johnny, trying to figure out what line to take. Leaves the door a little bit too far open. Johnny, with an inside line, makes the pass, cuts all the way over in front of the Hurricane. Bob doesn't like that very much. And Johnny started to pull away at this point in the moto. Behind him, Bob was trying everything. Watch this. Hits the berm a little too hard, makes the spectators back up a step or two. Shakes his head in disgust, and at the end of the race, Johnny running out of gas. The farthest possible place from the pit, sits there in disbelief, while Bob Hanna, with a far outside line, has no idea that Johnny is on the sideline. Spectator jumps over the fence to give Hanna the thumbs up, and O'Mara watches Hanna ride by to pick up his first Unadilla GP win. Bob's in as much disbelief as O'Mara.
As we get back to the action here in the first moto of the 250s, we see Mike Larocco battling it out with Jeremy McGrath, and Jeremy McGrath and Larocco are not battling for the lead. That's the unusual fact right here. I understand O'Mara had a special presentation after that race was over with Bob Hanna. David?
Well, he took over an empty gas tank and signed it. Gave it to him as a little token. Here you go.
Well, Larocco getting to the inside of Ward on that off-camber before going up the hill, but these powerful 250 machines able to really generate up that hill.
Yeah, only if you get a good drive out of the corner, and Larocco opened the door for McGrath, and he got around Larry Ward as well, and so did Bradshaw. So Ward loses 3 spots in about 100 yards.
Damon Bradshaw, number 28, so it's Larocco, number 8, Jeremy McGrath, and Damon Bradshaw now in 7th place.
At this point in the series last year, this was early in Bradshaw's comeback. Had to come from behind in both motos. The second moto, he went down, and right in this section with the hole shot, had to come from last again. So today, a little bit better start for him.
Jeremy, a great season underway in 14 motos, 12 wins. Last year in 14 motos, he only had 6 wins. Jeremy McGrath in pursuit of Mike Larocco.
Little different line right here. Nice move. That's like the most impossible place on this racetrack to pass somebody. And he just made up a new line, cut to the inside where there wasn't a berm, and still made that pass happen.
Larocco still hanging close, though, to Jeremy McGrath, with Doug Henry, his former teammate, right in front of him.
I think if you're Larocco, you try to hang with McGrath. Same with Bradshaw. I mean, if you can just be in contact with Jeremy, you know he's going to the front. He's going to be top 3, probably, even with a bad start. For sure, the top 5.
Ooh, Larocco could really use Doug Henry here.
Well, he already did. Henry kind of blocked Jeremy a little bit, and Larocco snuck back in there. That's going to throw Jeremy out of his timing just a little bit.
Jeremy showing a wheel to the outside, then cutting inside. Marty Reed was able to talk with Mike Larocco just prior to the start of this moto.
Coming off a good third-place run, if you can, and I know I see you wincing already, but it's a step in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been getting a little better as the year goes on, making some changes. I've been feeling more comfortable, and I think we're getting closer. I'm feeling a lot better on the bike, and I'm looking forward to racing this.
What about Unadilla? Is this your style of track, the way it's laid out now?
Yeah, I mean, I like the rough tracks. The track's a little faster this year, which I don't know if I like that any better, but it does get rough, and I think that's going to be more to my advantage.
Mike LaRocco holding the edge on Jeremy McGrath in Moto number 1.
Barely. He went to the outside in that corner just back there and almost left the door wide open for Jeremy. They got together. LaRocco was lucky to hang on to it. Speaking of hanging on, Bradshaw is still in contact with these guys, so he's on the pace today.
The tight racing between McGrath and LaRocco. LaRocco in 5th place just in front of Jeremy. Ryan Hughes, our leader. We'll be back in a moment. AMA Motocross is being brought to you by Dunlop. Simply the best for your bike. Our deckman David Bailey, Marty Reed back at Unadilla for Moto number 1 of the 250s. Our leader is Ryan Hughes with Jeff Emig, his teammate, right behind him. This battle is for 5th, 6th, and 7th positions.
Still quite a ways back in the pack. For all these guys looking at the pace they're running, boy, you got to be impressed with Kyle Lewis, who's still up there in 3rd place. And if these guys are going this fast, boy, the Kawasaki guys must be really flying. There they are. Hughes, this is his track. He loves this place. He's won here back-to-back in the 125, and I think he feels like he owns this race, but Emig isn't going to make it easy for him.
Coming out of the gravity cavity and wheeling around, our leader Ryan Hughes. Can he hold off his own teammate Jeff Emig? Emig cutting to the inside. It'll be the clean pass between teammates.
That was pretty smart. Ryan was undecided on what he was going to do there, and Emig said, heck with it, I'm gassing it, and just took it away. You know, I got to wonder about Ryan's motivation this year, because the jaw injury took him out of the Supercross series, took him out of the National Championship series for any kind of hopes at a title, and he's already signed with Kawasaki, so the remainder of the year for him is just kind of like, well, why am I here? So for him, it's a win or nothing.
Jeff Emig with a contract in hand, but he has not signed it yet. Emig has one bragging right that Jeremy McGrath doesn't have, and that is he's placed at least 2nd or higher in every moto this year.
A little new excitement for us there. He finally got the lead right in front of us.
Yeah, he did. It was a really good pass. You know, it looked like at the beginning, he was kind of getting his lines down. It looks like he got him down now, and he's starting to pick up the pace. And they're both riding a really good race.
I don't know about you, but it was kind of refreshing to see somebody besides Jeremy and Jeff fighting it out.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see at least a teammate. We got Kawasaki up in front anyway.
And more problems for Jeremy McGrath. It was reported in that he went down. And Jeremy would be back up and cruising in 8th place as we take a look at Mike LaRocco in 4th. And Greg Albertine has passed Henry Bradshaw, and of course, Jeremy McGrath, who went down. Albertine is right behind his teammate LaRocco in 5th place. Closing in on number 11 right there, Kyle Lewis.
So what a performance, as you mentioned. He's got 3rd and 4th right in front of him. And the pace in which he caught these guys leads me to believe he's going to get around them. This is his style of racetrack, and it's really starting to show.
The question right now is Albertine cuts to the inside of LaRocco. Can he stay upright? LaRocco coming right back, bar to bar between teammates.
Almost clipped that lapper as he went by. Got around his teammate, no problem, on the inside. There you get a glimpse of Henry and Bradshaw. They're having their own little battle.
Number 16, Greg Albertine, the former world champion, his best finish this year, a 4th place at Mount Morris and a 4th place at Budds Creek. Thought he was getting things together until he ran into 2 7th place finishes before coming to Unadilla. But he certainly looks fast right now.
He's working his way up the ladder. He won a moto at Mount Morris. He lost the overall, kind of threw it away. And I've been on his case a little bit, saying, you know, he needs to quit crashing. And here's another opportunity today where he could, if he gets around Lewis, he may have himself in a position to win the overall.
Albertine looking to pass Lewis. Lewis currently in 3rd place. Albertine just searching behind Lewis for the good line.
He's flying. He's putting that bike wherever he wants to put it, taking whatever line he wants. That's a real sign of confidence and strength right now.
Emig, our leader, with Hughes in 2nd. Lewis being tested here in 3rd.
I can't tell you how much strength it takes to ride the way Albertine's riding right now, sucking up all that roost. Look at him. He's getting pelted. Look how much air he gets off that jump. He's just going faster everywhere on the racetrack than the guys around him.
And almost a whoop-de-doo looking section before dipping down into that corner.
This is that new section. They took out the switchback, let him run wide open. Look at the speed they get all the way over that plateau.
Albertine edging into third against Lewis. Now can he catch up? With Ryan Hughes in second place, Greg Albertine running one of his finest races of the outdoor season.
And he just shot through that berm. That's the kind of momentum you need. Then he pre-jumps that uphill. He's doing everything right today. Really impressed with the way he's riding. He jumps over the crest of that hill, pitches the back end out to line him up right.
This is more what Roger DeCoster expected when he brought Greg Albertine here from Europe. We'll be back with more action in a moment. Back to Unadilla. First moto of the 250s, you see Jeremy McGrath. An upset in the making here in moto number 1. Emig is leading, Hughes in second, and Jeremy's all the way back at 7th. Now testing Doug Henry.
Very unusual for Jeremy to be this far behind, this late in the race. To the inside, great move. Henry left it a little bit too far open, but looked like Jeremy was going to make that pass no matter what, because he had him all lined up.
Does McGrath have enough time to catch the leaders? The leaders have a wonderful lead on Jeremy McGrath. There's Damon Bradshaw now in pursuit of Doug Henry. After knocking that tooth out in Buchanan, Michigan, I was wondering if he'd be back this soon. Marty Reed caught up with him in the pits.
The last time we saw the man on my left, Doug Henry, he was doing a very bad impersonation of Goober from Andy and Mayberry. 2 teeth knocked out. I know it was very painful, but it looks like from the smile on your face that the doctors were successful in putting him back in.
Yeah, it's just real temporary right now. One tooth is really loose, and the other one's just a plastic tooth, so I got to wait about, I think, another week before they can do a root canal in there, and I guess they're going to put a crown on one of them, so probably in another month or so, it should be just all back to normal.
You still got any pain from this crash?
No, not in my mouth. My shoulder's a little sore. I haven't really been able to do much riding, but I've been able to do a little bit of running and a lot of road bicycling. So it's I've been staying in shape, so hopefully here, you know, it doesn't feel too bad. So I just hope that my arms don't pump up, because then I'll be doing good.
Arms don't seem to be pumping up, but Bradshaw seems to have the edge as he cuts inside on that corner, and Bradshaw now has moved in front of Doug Henry.
Kind of a gutsy move, too, because he went in there hard, and both wheels were washing out a little bit on him, and he just gassed it and made it happen. He's been behind Henry most of the time. Maybe now that he's gotten around him, he can hook up with McGrath and go to the front.
Bradshaw also could gain some confidence trailing McGrath in this manner as far as the second moto is concerned. Bradshaw's best finish is second place at Southwick this year. One is beginning to wonder about his contractual situation for next season. Time now for our Honda riding tip.
Preparing your body for motocross is just as important as properly preparing your machine for motocross. You need to start preparing your body at least a week in advance by drinking plenty of fluids, eating the proper foods that are low in sugars and fats, high in proteins, carbohydrates, minerals. And on race day, you want to replenish your body with plenty of those foods and drinks. You want to start drinking at least a gallon of water a day prior to your event, and definitely the day before. If you wait till race day to start drinking fluids, it's probably going to be too late. For the Honda 1-800-COLLECT Fox Racing Team, this is Mike Bassett.
Steve Lamson's mechanic giving us our Honda riding tip today as we take a look at our leader, Jeff Emig.
Looks pretty good hopping into that corner. I mean, it would have been easy for Emig to hang with his teammate, Hughes, who's fast here at Unadilla, but I think he feels the urgency of putting points on Jeremy and trying to get as many riders between himself and Jeremy as he can. And this is a great opportunity with Jeremy having gone down earlier.
That shot emphasizing the great charge after going down early by Greg Albertine, who is now catching up with Ryan Hughes, number 5. Albertine, number 16, to the inside. Hughes giving him lots of room, comes back with the throttle, but can Albertine on that inside turn take the advantage permanently? Goes wide. Oh, Hughes hanging right with him.
Talk about two fighters, boy. These are the guys right here. Albertine is so fast. And I think the difference, I mean, he's faster than Jeremy a lot of times, but I think the difference between he and Jeremy is McGrath learned how to win. And there's times where Jeremy's actually the slowest through sections, places where he knows he can cruise and still pick up the win. I think Albertine is so anxious. He's trying so hard everywhere that he pushes too hard in places sometimes where he doesn't need to. And once he gets that worked out, he'll be winning some races.
Emig with an 8-second lead over Albertine as we look back to Jeremy McGrath, who got a poor start, then also went down, was as far back as 8th place on his second attempt to rush up through the pack.
Saw him on that climb up the hill, choose a rut, pre-jump the hill, reach up, pull a tear off. I mean, talk about being relaxed, this guy is.
Jeff Emig, our leader, with a new man in second place, Greg Albertine. Back for the finishing moments of moto number 1 for the 250s. Jeremy McGrath is currently in 4th place. Not riding as smoothly as you're used to seeing Jeremy McGrath cut through these outdoor courses. McGrath, whoa! The lapper tried to make it easier, and McGrath almost ran into him.
And it actually made it harder. McGrath had to change his line going into that drop-off, and you don't want to start in there sideways and swap down into the bottom. That's big problems. And Unadilla, I think, Art, for Jeremy, is kind of becoming like the Daytona. You know, a race that he just can't seem to get it done. And if he can only get a 4th place in his first moto, overall, it doesn't look good.
His worst moto finish of the season was a 5th at Mount Morris. That was the opening moto of that event. Came back to win the second moto and a 3rd place overall, which is his worst overall of the year. But that's been some time ago. Jeremy now trying in the last few laps to get back into this race, get back into contention at least for a top 3 spot.
If he makes any mistake at all, he's got Lewis, who's riding great today, and LaRocco, who just won't leave him alone. Look, they're right there pushing him to the finish.
LaRocco really becoming more of a rival with Jeremy McGrath than Jeff Emig is, even though Emig has been known as the streak breaker.
Emig just having much better starts than LaRocco. I think if they were to swap, LaRocco would be winning the majority of these races because the guy is fast. You can see right here he's matching McGrath. Although Jeremy went down, LaRocco still got the speed.
Here's our leader, Jeff Emig, number 2.
He's put in a great ride. He earned it, too, having to get around his teammate and built a pretty nice lead. That's going to give him a lot of confidence going into the second moto.
The checkers are in sight for Jeff Emig. This would be 2 moto wins in a row. Starting with consistency as the number 1 placement. Oh, he's got to feel great. Jeff Emig, Greg Albertine, and Ryan Hughes, the top 3. All in front of Jeremy McGrath. We had a fast moto number 1 for those 250 machines. Marty Reed is with our winner.
Well, I don't know if you knew how exciting this race was for all of us behind you, but I'll tell you what, Ryan Hughes gave you a bit of a battle there in the beginning.
Yeah, he he definitely passed me where I wasn't expecting, but but Ryan's always real fast here, and I know that he really wants to win at this place.
As far as second moto now, you are in complete control. Will this change your strategy?
No, I'm just looking for a hole shot and looking to ride like I did the first moto. I knew that Greg was back there, and I was just trying to pick my way through the lappers, and stay out of the roost because I didn't want to catch no rocks, by a lapper and possibly, like injure something.
Maybe the fastest bike on the track after going down was number 16, Greg Albertine. A phenomenal comeback for second place. Marty's with him now.
You told me before this race started this was your type of track, and I know it's could have, should have, would have, but if you don't go down, you would have been battling for the win.
Yeah, the first lap I was just going really smooth actually and easy, and I came into the one turn and there was a rut I wasn't expecting, and front wheel just washed out. But very good race. I felt really good and strong right to the end. Had some great lines, and I just want to thank everybody for the support out there. I'm a guest in this country, and I made a lot of friends, and I appreciate the prayers and support.
Well, I'll tell you, it sets up a great showdown coming up for the second moto because you've got to have some confidence coming in.
Yeah, I said I was feeling good in practice, and, I'm really feeling good for the second heat. Still strong, got a lot of energy, so I'm ready for a good race.
Can Albertine continue? Can Jeremy come back? We'll have Moto 2 when we return. Get it.
Crew's going to work on, it looks like LaRocco's bike. Anytime they pull off that tail section, they're usually working on the rear shock, trying to get him dialed in for the second moto.
Welcome back to an uncharacteristically smooth and fast Unadilla track. And David, we've got great weather.
It's nice. There's no humidity like usual, and there's no rain like usual. I can remember it raining always or threatening to rain. And the amateurs are the lucky ones. They get to this racetrack while it's still fresh, still has grass on it. Because of the lack of moisture they've had, the track's much drier, a lot more powdery, and it's brought up some rocks.
Jeff Emig, his second straight moto victory, and for the second straight moto, Jeremy McGrath having to fight through riders.
Well, I think Emig's starts have been phenomenal and forcing Jeremy to have to come from behind a lot. And Emig has got 2 motos in a row going back to last week, if you want to count that one. So maybe now he's got the confidence and the strength to hold Jeremy off all the time. And a good ride for Albertine, charging back from a pretty bad start up to second.
Reaching back into the record books, when was the last time someone other than Emig and McGrath won an overall? Well, it was back in 1995 Millville. Mike Kudrowski. Ironically, Kudrowski announced he's coming back to racing, signing with Honda of Troy for next year.
That's exciting to hear. I think Mike has sat on the other side of the fence just long enough and thinks he can still go out there and beat those guys, and probably has a renewed enthusiasm and appreciation for the sport. And he talked earlier with Marty Reed.
Big news this week. What brought up this decision about?
Well, there was a bunch of reasons. You know, I've been talking to the fans and stuff. I've been coming to the races with Kawasaki as a consultant, and you know, they always ask me, hey, you going to race again? And I tell them, no, you know, I'm done. But yeah, I kind of still had the itch to go race and stuff, and I had an 8-month break and stuff, and I haven't been riding, training, or nothing. And Honda of Troy gave me a call, Phil did, and he said, hey, you want to ride for us? And yeah, I thought it was great that somebody called and asked me to come ride for them. So yeah, I said, yeah, I'll do it. And we got the contract. Well, I haven't signed the real contract yet. I did a letter of intent. And next year in '97, I'll be on a Honda Troy bike riding the 250 Supercross and 250 Nationals.
Mike had been the advisor for Kawasaki for, what, about the last 6 months, I guess. And I think that going to the races all the time, I think he missed it. And he kind of watched our team for the last 6 months. And he was close to doing a deal with us last fall. And he kind of backed out at the last minute to stay with Kawasaki. And I think that just from being at the races and watching everybody ride, he just got the itch. And Eric Kehoe and him talked. Oh, shoot, I guess they've been talking for about the last 6 weeks. And last Saturday, the 13th, we managed to get him to sign a contract for next year.
Realistically, where do you place yourself next year?
Well, my ultimate goal is to go out and win. You know, there's one guy everybody's charging after right now, and you know, he's doing a great job winning. And you know, always when I had the #1 plate, I knew there was somebody that wanted to beat me to take it away. Well, that's what I want to do to Jeremy, is get that #1 plate.
Mike Kudrowski, of course, the rider that's won a 125, a 250, and a 500 outdoor championship, but never a Supercross championship. That'll be an interesting challenge starting the year out next year in Supercross.
He'll be ready. He's still in great shape. He's looked at this from the other side of the fence, and he knows that he believes he still has the ability to win. And nowadays, you know, the Honda of Troy, the pro circuit bikes, those guys are competitive. They get good suspension. They won't have quite the advantage Jeremy would, but desire can make up for a lot.
A determined look in the eyes of Jeremy McGrath after that 4th place finish in the opening moto. He still does have an outside chance for the overall should anyone else mess up, and he be right at the right place at the right time. The gate is down, and Emig, another great start for Jeff Emig. Behind him, Lewis, Ward, and Hughes. What a tight group on that first turn as Emig is in the lead. There's Lewis, number 11, Hughes, number 5, Larry Ward, number 6, and then Jeremy McGrath.
A lot of banging going on right there. Lewis, another great start. Larry Ward up in there. Albertine, who rode so strong in that first moto, is about 9th or 10th right now.
Stringing out a bit now into the single file, the leaders, Jeff Emig. Boy, it's got to be another great feeling for Emig now.
Huge opportunity for him. We could be looking at what happened at Redbud last week all over again. A good start, a hole shot. Can't get any better than that. And Emig, or rather McGrath, still kind of buried back in the pack.
Larry Ward putting the heat to Kyle Lewis, who's in 2nd place behind Jeff Emig. And Jeremy McGrath has moved into 4th in front of Brian Hughes. So Emig now with the advantage. There's Lewis number. Oh, my goodness. Emig goes down. Lewis goes flying over Emig's bike. We've got a new leader. Jeff Emig going down, a very bad break. It looked like it was a little slick where they watered the track. Emig taking Lewis down. Jeff back up and running, though, at about, what, 11th or 10th?
I think maybe even further back than that, Art. What a disaster for Jeff Emig. Here's going to be another look. He got sideways where they'd watered the track. No parade lap this time. Caught him by surprise. The bike swapped back the opposite way. Lewis hammered into the bike.
Larry Ward is our new leader with Jeremy McGrath in second place. Number 5, Ryan Hughes, right on Jeremy's tail. Hughes beating McGrath in the first moto by 1 placement. A 3rd place for Ryan.
Look at how steep that downhill is. I tell you, Art, the first time I ever saw this hill, I thought it was a joke. I didn't see how you could get stopped for that corner. Then you make the left, and it's a hill climb. I mean, in some cases, if you don't get out of the corner just right, you get a downshift going up that hill. That's how steep it is.
Boy, with the ruts like that, it almost looked like a trials mountain.
Well, it just about is. It's the steepest downhill and uphill on any racetrack that I can think of, here or overseas, and that's what makes Unadilla so spectacular.
Our leader is Larry Ward. I believe it's the first time he's led in the outdoors season after a slow start on the year. Ward in first, McGrath, Hughes, Bradshaw, and Albertine. We'll be back in a moment. But Bailey along with Marty Reed down in the mechanics area for moto number 2 of our 250 race, and it has been an outstanding battle. You know an interesting fact right now, David? Jeremy McGrath has not been in the lead 1 lap all afternoon.
Well, that's not only interesting, Art, but it's pretty amazing, really. And the guy has won in just about every stop on the circuit, both indoor and outdoor, except this place. And it's still, he's got to have to earn it. And even if he wins this moto, it doesn't look like the overall is going to go his...
Oh, Bradshaw! Bradshaw got caught in that very difficult area. It looked like he might have been clipped by a rider coming by.
That's a tough section. You're constantly making that right-hand corner, and once you leave the ground, that big hole there, the back end swaps out, you land in it, and it wants to bounce back the other way, and it caught Bradshaw by surprise.
Oh, this has been a dangerous area during practice as well, David.
That's just a tough section. Hannah went down there once in a race that I can remember, went down hard and was dizzy when he got up. Damon looks okay, but look at the energy that it takes to go through the races, come out here, put in the performance that he was, charging hard, crash like that, and then you can't get the bike started. Now the whole rest of the moto pretty much is going to be a bummer for him.
So Damon Bradshaw, after a spectacular crash, trying to get back into the race, out in front. Larry Ward is our leader. Jeremy McGrath, though, is in second place.
Now it's got to be an exhausted Damon Bradshaw. Another look. He landed in that hole a little bit sideways. The front end got turned. Just kind of a weird deal there. How he was lucky not to get run over by Albertine.
A new development while we were gone. Ryan Hughes has made a pass on Jeremy McGrath. So it is Ryan Hughes in pursuit of Larry Ward, our leader.
Pretty amazing. Jeremy is just not getting it all together here today. But I think it's also a real testament to how good Hughes is riding today as well. He's going fast. He likes this place. And if there's anywhere that you could ask Ryan Hughes where he would beat Jeremy for sure, he'd probably pick Unadilla as one of those spots. Look at all the rocks starting to come up through there.
Here's the move by Jeremy McGrath, an almost impossible move if you look at the terrain that he had to go over, the off-camber turn, and Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Hughes continue to battle it out for second place.
This battle between themselves, I think, is really going to pick up the pace. They're pushing each other, and Larry Ward is still out front. So Larry, obviously riding a very fast pace, kind of got a little gift there in the first lap when everybody went down, but he was in the right place at the right time, and he's still hanging on to a pretty comfortable lead.
Larry Ward coming off his best performance of the year in Buchanan. After a 6-4, he placed 4th overall and is looking very good here out in front of Jeremy McGrath and Ryan Hughes. David, where the track in the first moto looked very, very fast, it is now starting to run up.
And that's what Ryan Hughes likes. This is where he does well when the situation gets tough. If he can pass Jeremy back right here, he'd really make a statement.
Time now for another Suzuki flashback.
This was the 1988 250 Grand Prix at Unadilla. Rick Johnson broke out the zebra pants. Check him out. He was out to the early lead and led all day long. The only battle was back in the pack for second place. Bob Hanna, number 26 on the Suzuki, battling with Mickey Diamond. They went back and forth, but eventually it was Hanna, the crowd favorite, taking over second place in his final ride of his career. Mickey Diamond held on for third place, while Rick Johnson took the overall win. Second went to Hanna in the final ride of his career, and he said in a post-race interview, "I won." It says in the rule book you have to be human to race motocross, and Rick Johnson is not human.
Jeremy McGrath trying to catch up with Larry Ward, and he's chipped away on Ward's lead.
At least now he's in Ward's side mirrors, and Ward, he's been there before. In fact, at Buchanan, Larry Ward held him off for a little while, and it seems inevitable, I guess, just because Jeremy's got the record that he does, that he would get around Larry, but Larry's not going to make it easy. He's riding good here today.
Look at this. Number 16, Greg Albertine, has now moved into third place in front of Ryan Hughes. And he's not that far away from the leaders.
Now he's got him in his sights. And he was, in fact, the fastest guy on the racetrack in the first moto. So this is shaping up to be a good race.
Whoa, Ward, McGrath, and Albertine with the overall up for grabs. We'll be right back. Real easy pass for Jeremy McGrath to move into first place. Larry Ward trying to hang with him now.
Larry looked back over his shoulder, too, as Jeremy was going by on the inside, which may be an indication that he's getting a little bit tired, having run this fast pace to stay in lead all this time and hoping nobody else is coming. Second would be pretty good for him in this moto.
Larry Ward with a 14th in the first moto, and Jeremy McGrath is trying to really burn it out now.
This is where Jeremy is so strong. When he does get into that lead, he puts an exclamation point on it right away and just really detunes the guy behind him. He pulls away so quick, he just lets everybody think, well, there's no way I can hang with that. I'll just ride for second.
McGrath just refuses to get down for too long anytime during this season. Of course, after the fourth in the first moto, here he is back out in the lead. McGrath just phenomenal. Albertine coming up, though, with good speed. Let's go to Marty.
Well, by my count right now, with Jeremy in front, your guy's got to pick up one more spot. He's in third. He's got to get the second for the overall.
Yeah, you're 100% right. If he gets Ward, we got it in the bag, and to me, that's all that counts.
So you're real confident right now, aren't you?
I am.
And Ian, he always has that positive attitude, sticking by Greg Albertine no matter what, but Greg is starting to come through. Greg has history to make here today.
He does, and I tell you what, if I was a mechanic, I'd be smiling and confident too, because the guy is like twice as fast as everybody else in the first moto, just rode right through everyone. McGrath made it a little easier. Wow, look at Rocco.
Nice bump in on Ryan Hughes.
It's usually the other way around, but Ryan's getting pushed around a little bit today. I don't think he's liking it too much, but well, LaRocco's starting to show some of that form that earned him a couple overall wins here at Unadilla.
Moving into fourth place, Mike LaRocco.
He's putting in a nice charge, and you can see the rocks, all those ruts starting to develop. The track is really the toughest right now. It's been all day long, and Ryan Hughes starting to fade a little. Doesn't look quite as good as he did on the 125 here.
With his sleeves rolled up, he's working hard. Greg Albertine now attacking Larry Ward.
Forced to follow him up that hill, but he made a run at him on the inside. Given the blue flag with that stripe here, that means for the lappers, the leaders are coming around, so get out of the way.
I think it's interesting that these three riders are pretty close to one another. Jeremy McGrath is our leader, with Larry Ward and Greg Albertine battling it out amongst the lappers.
Larry Ward putting in a fine ride here today. This is the best I've seen him look in a long time, maybe all year in the outdoors. Albertine made a run at him there on the inside, but Larry Ward had a good drive up the hill and opens up a little lead again.
Ward, number 6, Honda of Troy. He has re-signed for next year.
That'll be a good team with Kudrowski back in there. His work ethic, I think, could really benefit for some of the other riders. Perhaps Mike Craig, if they sign him again, and Larry Ward. That's going to make them try just a little bit harder, try to be the #1 guy on that team.
Well, Ward fishtailing quite a bit. Is that Albertine out in front? Yes, Albertine has moved into second place. If he can hold this position, he would win the overall. And the last Suzuki rider to win an overall was Kent Howerton. That was some 15 years ago, David. Marty Reeds with Skip Norfolk.
Well, he's got the lead, looking a lot better than the first moto, but you still don't control your own destiny as long as Albertine's closing.
No, he's probably the guy in the hot seat right now. He's going to be the one in the hunt for the overall. We just got to win the race, and whatever happens behind him happens behind him. Made some changes to the bike mentally, and it seems to be working right now. I think the bike could be a little better than it is, but we're going to have to go home and do some homework. But he's seeming to make things work right now.
Any changes you want to share with us?
Well, we made some tire changes, some carburation changes, and some suspension changes. So, yeah, we did a lot of work in between the motos.
And that work has certainly paid off, as Jeremy McGrath looks like a different rider here in Moto 2.
Well, motocross is unlike a lot of other sports. When you get out there for that half-hour moto plus 2 laps, if something's wrong, you got to live with it. You know, it's not like you get a timeout. You get to talk it over, talk about things, change your lines, and make changes. So obviously, during the between motos, they made the right changes because he's back out front.
And usually these problems don't get better as the race goes on.
No.
They have a tendency to get worse.
Makes it harder, makes you work harder, you expend more energy, and right now, Albertine, he's got to play it smart. He's in an overall position. I know he wants to beat Jeremy so bad, but he can't take any unnecessary chances. He's got to work his way up that ladder. He got a moto win at Mount Morris. He needs an overall, then he can try and beat Jeremy.
And anything can happen on this rocky track. We'll be back with the race to the checkers in a moment. Moto number 2, Jeremy McGrath is our leader after a 4th place finish in the first moto. Greg Albertine, though, the big news is that he has a chance to win for Suzuki their first overall in about 15 years. It was back in 1981, the last time Suzuki won an overall national championship.
And he is starting to close the gap on Jeremy, but I don't think enough where it's worth going after him. Just stay back there, keep the pressure on, maybe force Jeremy into a mistake. But trying to go for it all here might be a little bit too much.
Well, if he went down, Larry Ward wouldn't be that far away.
Yeah, he had a chance to win the overall at Mount Morris, I think, and went down late in the race. And I hope he's learned from that.
So another great moto win on the way for Jeremy McGrath, as the fans are encouraging all the riders on as they do in motocross. But he's going to have to share some glory with the overall winner, Greg Albertine. Albertine, with a 2nd place finish in moto number 1, is currently in 2nd place in this final moto of the day.
It looks to me like in this last lap, Jeremy's going as fast as he was anywhere during the moto. He knows he's got to. Albertine is very unpredictable back there. He's close enough to make a pass.
Well, this has been a very hard-earned victory for Jeremy McGrath as well.
Well, typically in the later stages of the race, you know, the leader will let up a little bit, and he just can't do that right now. And Albertine, no, he's not close enough to make that pass. However, if Jeremy was to let up, he would be, and Jeremy knows that, and he's got to push it all the way to the end.
Boy, that memory of that downhill, it's almost like a staircase right now, is scary.
A little swap there by Jeremy, too, coming over the rise of that hill. The back end got away from him a little bit.
Jeremy McGrath now can see the checkers in sight for his 13th moto win in 16 motos this year. Here comes Greg Albertine on a slow trot, about 2 or 3 seconds behind him. What a great feeling this has got to be for the Suzuki camp and Greg Albertine. His very first overall in the national circuit here in America. Coming up and congratulated by James Dobb, an Englishman. Jeremy McGrath, though, winning moto number 2. Albertine, Ward, and LaRocco and Hughes with very strong showings here in the 2nd moto. Let's go down to Marty with our winner.
Well, I know you weren't happy after the first moto, but what a way to come back.
Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate the first moto, you know, Greg fell down, he rode good, and I fell down, and, you know, I caught up as much as I could, but 4th was the best I could do, and had to go back and regroup, kind of concentrate, and get my act together, and it worked.
We were talking with Greg about the fact that it's the first time in a long time somebody other named Emig and McGrath has won one of these things. But and this is the first 2-race losing streak that you've had in, gosh, what, 2-3 years. And so, you know, does this make Troy even that more important?
Well, you know, after these breaks we've been having, you know, it's time to get my, you know, my training back down and getting back in routine. And, you know, I'm happy for Greg. He really rode a good race. And finally, you know, it's not Emig or me. You know, it's someone else.
Greg Albertine, the overall winner with a 2-2. Jeremy McGrath, a 4-1, and Emig, the 1-8. Roger DeCoster has to be very proud of this young man.
Hey, congratulations. First win overall. How's it feel?
Feels awesome. I just want to give all glory to God. You know, to give me the talent to race with these great riders. You know, I have so many people to thank. Roger, my mechanic, Ian, Gary Bailey for helping me out with my technique, and Peak Performance, Joe, my trainer. Everything's just coming together, and I'm so pumped.
Do you realize we're trying to figure out the last time somebody other than Emig or McGrath won one of these things, and quite frankly, it's quite a while.
Yeah, it sure is, you know, and I wanted to be the one to do it. And, you know, I was pushing for McGrath in that last motor, but I thought I've got the overall. Let me just lose my reputation of being a crasher, and I just hung in there, slowed down, and finished the race.
Congratulations, great win.
Thanks, and
Well, Jeremy might not have won the overall, but he continues to increase his points lead on Emig to 45 points. No position changes in the top 5 this week.
A couple things that come to mind today, Art, is Emig, after going down that second moto, having that bizarre crash, riding basically a pretzel all the way back to 8th. That was a pretty good performance. And for Albertine, anybody that's watched the show knows I've been on this guy's case for crashing so much, and he's learned his lesson. He's got an overall, and he's onward and upward, and I'm proud of him.
Art Ekman for David Bailey and Marty Reed. Thank you so much for being with us.